so let's talk about the Orange Bowl. And this year's Orange Bowl is going to be between number 7 Notre Dame and number 6 Penn State. And honestly, I am really excited about this matchup. Out of the two semifinal matchups, I think this game has the potential to be the most competitive. I mean, when I was picking this game, I was going back and forth on it for a while. Like, these two teams in Notre Dame and Penn State are both very different and very similar at the same time. It's a little like it's kind of funny to look at both these teams. I mean, both these teams run the ball extremely well, but they kind of do it different ways. Penn State to me is a much more explosive run game with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, while Notre Dame's the type of run game that's just gonna, punch you in the mouth. That's gonna, inch their way down the field. They're okay with 15 play drives. And I'm not saying they don't have explosive plays out the running game because they do have Jeremiah Love, who is one of the more explosive backs in the country, but they just get it done offensively in the same but different ways. And then defensively, both these teams have pretty good defenses, but they're both good at different things, or their strengths are two different strengths. Penn State's strength is they are a very good pass defense, given they have one of the best pass rushes in the entire nation. And then Notre Dame, they're better at stopping the run, and their front seven is extremely strong and extremely physical at doing that. Both, like I said, there's just so many similarities but also differences between these two teams. And I mean, out of the two semifinal games, like I said before, I think this has potential to be the most competitive. Because like I said, I went back and forth on this game for a minute. Like, literally, it was Notre Dame, Penn State, Notre Dame, Penn State. I was convincing myself of both teams every time I kind of thought about this game. Like, it was a little crazy of me. So I think we're going to be in for a really good one. It's exciting to see two teams that have never really been here before have a chance to get to the national championship game. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Notre Dame in a national championship game. I mean, not in my cognitive ability of watching sports. I think the last time they were here was like 2012 when they got massacred by Alabama. And Penn State never made it into the 14 playoff. So this is their first time in the playoff, and now they're in the semifinal with a legitimate shot to be in the national championship game. The first time they've been in one since I don't know when. Like, in my lifetime, Penn State has never been a national power. I guess back in the day they were, because I've seen a lot of people say how it's cool how this year's semifinal matchups all feature blue blood storied programs. And while I don't think Penn State is one, I've heard that they are a storied program. I wouldn't know because in my lifetime they haven't really been like that. I mean, they've been pretty good, but not one of the premier programs, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, and also two black head coaches duking it out to see who will potentially get a chance to be the first ever black head coach to win a national championship, which is kind of crazy given how long college football has been around, that this would be the first time that a black head coach has done it. That's kind of crazy. I've seen a lot of weird takes about that, but I'm not diving into that, stuff, because yeah, that stuff just makes me mad, because everybody's extremely ignorant. You have people speaking on things that they know nothing about. You have white people speaking on it from saying, oh, black people should feel this way. How are you going to tell another group of people how they should think when you're not that group of people? And even if you are that group of people, you can't tell the people how to think. They're going to think what they want to think. You know what I'm saying? That's the most I'm going to say about that. But yes, this is a very interesting matchup, and I'm very excited to see how these two teams, match up. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. And also, I love how we're getting two Midwest teams playing in, like, the Orange Bowl, playing in Florida. And just because of that, I think both these teams are going to travel well, because it's like, how many people from South Bend, how many people from Happy Valley get a chance to just go to Florida? So why not go see your favorite team play? This is the first semifinal game that Notre Dame has been in where they have a real shot. This is the first time Penn State has been in a semifinal game ever. So both these teams are playing the biggest games in their, recent programs' histories. So I expect both these fan bases to travel well, and I expect the environment around this game to be absolutely electric. Now, when we get into the actual football aspect, I'm going to start off by just talking about some keys and some questions I have for Penn State. My very first key and the very first thing that I want to ask Penn State is, can you not be your worst enemy? In that Boise State-Penn State game, Penn State honestly should have won that game by a whole hell of a lot more. It should have been a lot more lopsided than the final score indicated. But Penn State just couldn't get out their own way at times with bad penalties, a really bad turnover. Like, that fumble was just bad. Like, it wasn't even something Boise State forced. It's just Penn State making a mistake. And then questionable play calling. If you have questionable play calling, bad turnovers, and even worse penalties, you're not going to win this game against Notre Dame because they are a really, really good ball club. If you show up the way you showed up against Boise State, you are going to lose this game. And I understand, yes, you did win that game against Boise State. You did win by a nice, comfortable margin, but Notre Dame is a far better team than Boise State. They are more complete. They can beat you in more ways. They are a more sound, physical, and honestly well-disciplined football team. So you can't make mistakes. You can't give them more opportunities. You cannot be your own worst enemy in this game. If Penn State wants to win, which I think they have a great chance of doing, they cannot be their worst enemy. That's just that. Now, from an offensive point of view with them, my big thing is, can Drew Aller look like the best quarterback remaining? In my opinion, if we're looking at just pure talent, Drew Aller's the best quarterback remaining in this college football playoff. I mean, he's more talented than Quinn Ewers. He's more talented than Will Howard, even though right now Will Howard's playing better. But a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that he has the best weapons in college football right now. And he's a better quarterback than Riley Leonard, the dude that he's going to be dueling against. Like I said when I think they were playing SMU, Drew Aller is the best quarterback on his side of the bracket. This game, he's going to have to play like that. Because against Boise State, not saying he looked bad, because he did not look bad by any stretch of the imagination, but it was nothing special. I mean, he was 13 of 25 for 171 and 3 touchdowns. But in this game, he's going to have to be better than that. Because if he shows up with that stat line, Penn State's going to have a lot of trouble in this game. And that's mainly because Notre Dame is very good at stopping the run, and Penn State is a team that wants to run the ball. So if they're able to take away the run and slow down your run game, we're going to need to see Drew Aller look like the Drew Aller that he has shown flashes of at times. That Drew Aller that played against Oregon, that was doing a lot of great things off schedule with his arm, making a lot of tight window throws, extending plays. He's going to have to be that dude. And I personally believe he can do that. But it's with him is really just, it's a game-to-game thing with him. He lacks consistency, which is a big thing that I need to see from a quarterback, especially one that is going to lead his team to a national championship. Now, the reason why Drew Aller is such a big component of this game is also because Notre Dame's defense is really good, but if you have to look at a weakness on that side of the ball, it has to be their back end. They can be had in the passing game. I mean, Georgia, with a backup quarterback and weapons that are nothing like that scares you, really, they were able to get big shots and big plays in the passing game. I mean, Gunnar Stockton went 20 of 32 for 234 yards and a touchdown. I mean, they were able to be had with the Georgia passing attack that is nothing to write home about. And then, I mean, they've been beaten downfield and through the air at times this season. I mean, Louisville didn't beat them, but they were able to throw for 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, and were able to get some big shots. I'm pretty sure they had 2 receivers have over 70 yards receiving. And then against USC, a game that they did win, of course, they've won all these games, but it's kind of been shown that you can get them in the passing game. USC in that game threw for 360 and 3 scores and had a receiver, Mekhi Lemon, who had 133 yards on 9 catches, no touchdowns, but he was very effective. And Penn State does have the people on the outside that could potentially give Notre Dame fits. Drew is just going to have to be able to get them the football and not turn the ball over at all. You cannot do that. This Notre Dame defense is extremely opportunistic. You have to be safe with the football at all times. You cannot make no error, no bad throws, because Notre Dame will take advantage of those turnovers, those mistakes you make. Yeah, they can be had in that aspect. He has the weapons to do it. He has the best tight end in the country and maybe one of the best players remaining in the CFP and Tyler Warren. They're going to have to stress them out downfield, stress them out on the outside, because that's definitely something they can do. Penn State has the guys to do it. They just have to actually go out there and do it. The talent's there. Penn State is one of the more talented teams in the country. It's always been just whether or not that talent decides to show up. And they're going to have to show up in this game if they want to have a legitimate chance. Now, when I look at Penn State from a defensive point of view, they're going to have to force Notre Dame into passing situations. This Notre Dame offense is built around running the ball, and when they're not able to run the ball, they don't look like the offense that they have looked at times this year. And at times this year, this offense has looked really, really good. If they're able to take away the run game or force them into more passing situations, I really like their chances in this game. Even though Riley Leonard is a good quarterback, His strength is not his passing. He is not the best passer. So if I'm Penn State, what I want to do is, okay, we're gonna take away your legs, we're gonna take away your ability to run the ball or slow it down or impede it or get up early and make it so Riley Leonard beat us with your arm. Do it. I want to see you do it. If you can beat us with your arm, we'll be cool with that. I will live with that, but I am not going to live with you beating me on the ground. So I want to force you into a lot of passing situations. Make him throw the ball. Make him prove that his arm is actually better than we think. Because while I think he's a good quarterback, like I said, his arm and his passing game is not his strength. It's really not what he does well. It's not the thing that they want to do as an offense, if we're being honest. My next big key for Penn State is just be smart with the football. This Notre Dame defense is one of the best defenses in the country in terms of forcing turnovers, whether it's interceptions or fumbles. And kind of like we saw last week, in that Sugar Bowl, they were able to get timely turnovers against Georgia that really shifted the entire outcome of that game. The first one was the early fumble that they got on Trevor Etienne when Georgia was driving, and they were in a position where they could either got a touchdown or a field goal. They could have got some points. They ended up with none because Notre Dame forced that turnover. Then you have the infamous one right before half where they got the strip sack from Gunnar Stockton and then scored to go up 2 scores going into half, which was really the big play and the key point that really shifted this game into Notre Dame's favor. If you're Penn State, you have to be safe with the football. You can't give this team extra possessions and extra opportunities to get a score or get a stop because Notre Dame is extremely opportunistic. This is a well-coached ball club. If you give them chances, if you put the ball in harm's way, they are going to make the necessary play to get the ball back in their hands and do what they need to do to win this football game. You cannot give them extra cracks at it. You cannot. You have to be safe. You have to be smart. And I'm mainly talking to Drew Allar right now. I'm mainly talking to him because while he is immensely talented, he has had plays this season where you're just like, what are you doing with the football, man? Why'd you throw that? Why are you doing that? Just get down. Why are you taking a sack there? Just throw the ball away. Stuff like that. They have to play smart to win this football game because they're playing a very well-coached team. So those are kind of some of the things that I think I need to see Penn State do to win this game and just questions I had of them. Now shifting over to Notre Dame. Now when it comes to Notre Dame, one of the main things I think they're going to need to do to win this football game is make Drew Allar extremely uncomfortable. One of the most impressive things that I saw in that Sugar Bowl game against Georgia with Notre Dame is how they were able to get pressure on Gunnar Stockton and dominate the line of scrimmage. In that game, they had 5 sacks and 9 TFLs, and they held Georgia to 29 carries for 66 yards. If Notre Dame is able to make Drew Allar feel uncomfortable, he will give them opportunities to force turnovers. He will put the ball in harm's way. And if they're able to slow down this run game that is very potent with Kaytron Allen and Nick Singleton, that puts the ball more in Drew Allar's hands. And while he's extremely talented and can be a very, very dangerous quarterback, at times, he will give you a chance to make a play on the ball. So you have to make him uncomfortable back there. You have to be able to get pressure. You have to force him to just have the ball in his hands. Force him to make him feel like he has to make a play, and he will give you the ball sometimes, in my opinion, just how I see it. And one of the big questions I think is going to be like the main question of this game, especially from Notre Dame's perspective, is how healthy is Jeremiah Love? Jeremiah Love is a big part of this Notre Dame offense, and he is one of the most explosive, dynamic running backs in the country. Now, against Georgia, he didn't do much, but that's because he wasn't the most healthy. I mean, in that game, he had 6 carries for 19 yards. I think one catch for like 2 yards. His offense will look much better. It will be much more potent if he's able to be fully available. So my question is, how healthy will he be? Will he be 80%? Will he be 90%? Or will he be 70%? Because that honestly determines how well this offense looks and what this offense can do. Because in that game against Georgia, their leading rusher was Riley Leonard. And I think his legs will be a big key to this game. But you don't want him to be your leading rusher. You want that to be Jeremiah Love. You need your best offensive player to be healthy when you're playing in a game that is this big, of this magnitude. And he's going to have to be able to be a somewhat healthy version of himself, because when he's healthy, he is explosive, he is dynamic, he can make big plays. They're going to need him in this game. In this game, you want Jeremiah Love to be able to be your bell cow, given I believe Penn State's biggest weakness on their defensive side of the ball is the fact that you are able to run the ball against them. It's not impossible to run the ball against Penn State. Now, I know it was hard for Boise State, but Notre Dame has a much better offensive line. Their play calling will be much better from a run game perspective, and they're just a better team. While no, their backs are not as good as Ashton Genty because he is the best back in the nation, they do have talented guys back there and a really good offensive line that is really good at running the ball. They were able to move Georgia up front, and that is a hard thing to do. While Georgia has had the best season in terms of like defense and how their defense has looked overall, it's still impressive when you're able to move them on the line of scrimmage, because that's something that they pride themselves in, and Notre Dame was able to do that. So we need to see Jeremiah Love healthy for them to really be as potent as they can be in the run game. And then also, Riley Leonard's going to have to use his legs. When Riley Leonard was using his legs against Georgia, their offense was clicking. Their offense was looking really, really good. And he's probably going to have to do that yet again this week if Notre Dame wants to win this football game. He's going to have to be dynamic with his legs, not afraid to run the ball whenever he doesn't see something in the passing game, and just be a factor. I expect to see a lot of RPOs, a lot of read options, a lot of wonky triple options out of the shotgun formation, out of the spread format. You know, I think getting him on the edge and letting him use his legs and letting him be the athlete that he is will be something that will unlock this entire offense and make it easier for you to move this ball against this Penn State defense that has the guys up front to get after the quarterback. They maybe had the best pass rushing group in the nation. Are they the best? No, but they're definitely one of the best. They're definitely a team that you don't want to just be able to pin their ears back and come after and get the quarterback. And against them, it is helpful to have a mobile quarterback that can get out of some sticky situations, you know, because they have Abdul Carter, a guy who's going to be a top 5, top 3 pick in this upcoming draft. He's extremely talented. Now, I know he didn't play the full game against Boise State, but I also think they just held him out to keep him healthy after they realized they don't really need him in this one. But they're going to need him in this one. They're going to. And for Notre Dame to win, Riley Leonard is going to have to be dynamic and impactful with his legs the same way he was against Georgia. Now, when it came to this game, I was flip-flopping back and forth for a minute. I was going back and forth between which of these teams I think will win. Now, me personally, I'm going to be rooting for Notre Dame because my cousin is starting right tackle on their team, Emil Wagner, having a really, really good season. Love watching him play, you know. It's crazy that we're cousins. He's like, 6'7", 300 pounds, and I'm like 5'8" on a good day. It's insane, but we don't talk about it. But while I am rooting for Notre Dame, and I really do want them to win this game, I'm picking Penn State. And the main reason I'm picking Penn State is Penn State offensively can beat you in more ways than Notre Dame can beat you offensively. Notre Dame's offense is predicated on the run, and I believe if you're able to take away the run, if you're able to stop their run game, they're not going to be that effective of an offense. And if they get down, I don't know if they have the passing game to shoot themselves back into a ball game. While Penn State, on the other hand, if they get down, I have faith that they can throw the ball to come back in the game. We've seen them do that against Oregon, and Oregon was the #1 team in the country for a reason. I know Ohio State dismantled them, but Oregon is still a really, really good ball club. Penn State can beat you in a variety of ways, and if they get up early, if they're able to get up, if they're able to run the ball, if they're able to use their entire offense, and this defense is able to pin their ears back and rush the passer, I like Penn State's chances. Like I said before, Penn State was really the best team on their side of the bracket, and I believe they're going to show that in this year ball game against Notre Dame, who is also a very, very good team. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame wins this game, but I think this game if you have to score over 30 to win this game, Penn State's more likely to score 30. Penn State's more likely to score 40 in this game than Notre Dame is. Notre Dame's best case scenario to win this game is to keep this game under 30. Make it a street fight. Make it a brawl, which is something that Notre Dame is very good at, because that's what they've been able to do their last few games in this year's playoff. So yeah, I think it's really a toss-up, but I'm going to have to side with Penn State. I just think they're the more talented team. They can beat you in more ways, and if I'm looking at quarterback play, Drew is a better quarterback than Riley Leonard. Even though I have a ton of respect for Riley Leonard as a quarterback, he's not the same level that Drew Aller is as a passer. I think honestly as an athlete, they're both actually very much neck and neck. Drew Aller is a very underrated athlete. His legs are actually one of the more underrated things about him, and something I think I want to see Penn State use more in the run game, given they already have 2 dynamic backs. They can really stress you out if you add Drew Aller into that equation. But yeah, I'm going with Penn State. So let me know down in the comments below who you think will win this game. Do you think Notre Dame, or do you think Penn State? Let me know. Let me know if you disagree or agree with me, or just give me some insight. Correct me if need be. I love to learn. I love to get better. So just let me know, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm probably going to see you soon talking about the NFL wildcard games. Maybe, maybe not. I kind of forgot they were happening this week. Even though I knew, it's just something that kind of slipped my mind because college football is happening. I really love college football. But I do also love the NFL too. I would love to talk about that. But anyway, like I said, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. And I love y'all. That was corny.